people in our sort of society, begin to discover their sense of purpose through real trial and error. I mean, some people never do. A lot of people never do. They never question it. They just keep going and going and going. And as you say, it's like onwards and upwards and this relentless march to this idea of progress and all that kind of stuff. However, in education, I mean, we're always looking at, those of us who are working to kind of make positive changes, we're always working to try to find ways to help younger people understand their sense of purpose, or at least how to ask those questions at a much younger age, so that maybe they don't have to have this, obviously there will be challenges, there will be these things, but, at least to give you the tools earlier. And I wonder, what gave you the tools? I mean, what did you get from your own education that actually prepared you for real life, outside the kind of professional sense? And beyond that, what were the influences that really led you to be able to make these kinds of difficult choices purely to make sure that you were aligned and happy?
That's not something I got from my school years, from my university years. Definitely not. It really went from relationships, people showing me a different way, people saying, what you feel, I understand it, and that's a shitty feeling. And this is what I've done, and that has helped me, and that's what my partner, she's the one who put me on the track of mindfulness, and for that I'm just forever grateful, because that was just there were parts of myself I really didn't accept, and some feelings, some emotions, and then you have that change. You read that book and you're like, hey, that's what I've always been feeling. And then in it, and feelings that I've always had, that I've been pissed off on myself for. And then in that book it says, you know what, you shouldn't be pissed off. You should feel compassion for yourself, because this is tough to feel. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of suffering. And then you read that and it's just like, it opens, it feels right. It feels like you've always known it. You've always read it. But no one has put that on my path before then. I was, 25, maybe a bit older, maybe 28. But during my school years, like meditation, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's not scientifically proven. I'm studying to be an engineer, but it's not one and zeros. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. So I think it's tough. Education is a tough thing, because we all change, and we all try to find our way. But when you're very young, you commit yourself to a studies track, and I think they get more and more specialized. So you enter that track, and then you kind of, if you want to paddle back and say, well, I tried and I don't like it, I need to try something else, it's tough. You have people who are going to say, yeah, but then you're going to study way longer. And after that, when employers are going to see that, they are going to doubt you, because you're maybe too old. And oh, wow. And that's why we need a lot of employers, to be aware, to play the game, to accept that, people have to figure it out. And that plays a big role in there. But choosing your path at the university, I think it's tough.
As an employer, I think I'd probably be more inclined to favor people that have tried lots of things and then can show that this is what I've arrived at because it's part of a process of trying and testing, rather than somebody who has kind of almost just stumbled forward, which you never really know. It's difficult to tell. But interesting you mention things like meditation and mindfulness, because these things are changing a little bit in education, and we're at a really interesting moment where stuff that we've kind of known intuitively or through spirituality or whatever for many years in many cultures. And there's lots of words you're using that are, I see Buddhism is quite obviously quite central to you. You use compassion. You've talked about impermanence. That now you've got things like, for example, neuroimaging that can put these sensors on somebody's head, and when they meditate, they can see this part, the prefrontal cortex, lighting up, and they're like, oh, so the third eye thing, that was actually a thing. And so we're at a really interesting juncture now where all of these things are starting to get more of a basis in the worlds of science and spirituality are starting to kind of come together, which is super interesting. And I wonder now at this particular moment, if somebody was to say, hey, Bertrand, you're a pretty interesting guy. I want to give you a school to do with as you want, because you seem to know what you're doing. What would you do with it? I mean, what kind of things? Your mission is to equip these young people to have a fulfilling life. What kind of things would you put in there?
Honestly, that's like tough question you're asking there. I don't know, to make a whole school, I still do believe, like, it's good to train your brain thinking like about mathematics, arithmetics, and knowing about history and geography, and just basically whatever is going to open your mind. But I would like that part of it is about connecting with your body and being able to protect yourself from pressure of society or family, even to say that, hey, it's okay what you're feeling, and that you just know you're in a place that is safe. So I would like that to be part of it. But the thing is that if at the time when I was studying, you would have opened an optional class on mindfulness and meditation, I don't think I would have signed up. So, and the thing is, it's okay. If it's not your time, it's not your time. So it's tough. I think I would see it more as a sort of individual coaching. Someone who is there, who say like, hey, what you feel is okay. These are a few tools. Pick them up at your speed. When the time is right, you know where to find me. Because at some point it will feel right.
Yeah, the mentoring thing is super important, isn't it? It's something that tends to be missing from a lot of education, where it's still quite a standardized model, standardized testing. It's still that kind of industrial age era thing. Do you find yourself mentoring quite sort of naturally in life? I mean, it could be at work or outside work. I mean, you've gone through the process of all this kind of stuff, and you must see people at moments where that, hey, I could maybe help this person and give them advice. Do you feel like you can do that? I mean, do you feel inclined to do that? Do you try to do that?
I push myself to do that because I know how much it felt for me. So know how much it has been important for me. So I try to to always be listening, hearing. If I pick up on the signal, to not turn my back on it and say like, oh, that person is not doing great. Well, let's move away. But to try to be there, to say like, hey, how are you feeling? And it's great if they say like, I'm doing fine. So, okay, cool, man. Happy to hear that. And sometimes say, I'm personally struggling a little bit with those things. And then maybe you have to create that trust, and then people will open. At Study Portals, we had created a workshop on the mind. It was with a coach I had at the time, and who really supported me in my mindfulness journey. So we had created like a program. It was 3 workshops of 3 hours on how the mind works, and it was free to register within the company. And we were like 100 people, or maybe 75 people based in Eindhoven, who could have registered for the workshop. In the end, maybe 10 did, and we did that workshop 3 times, and every time it was about 10 people joining, and that was great. That felt good, because you could see I could see, you know, what I went through in the eyes of other people. I say like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I'm able to let go of that thought and to create an environment where it's okay to share how our mind works, and say like, you know, I'm really annoyed at my partner because she or he does that all the time, and that's very annoying, and I'm really annoyed by it. And like, you know, that you have a place where you can share those things and say, okay, well, let's work on it, so that you can let it go and be a better person for yourself and for your partner. And so we created that, we did that, and then throughout the years, some people just approached me to say, especially after I stepped down from that commercial director position. That was funny. After I did that move, I had a few colleagues who asked me, hey, would you mind just mentoring me in some sessions, just so we can talk about things that are happening to me? I'm like, yeah, sure, very happy to do that. So that was a funny result of my choice of stepping down.
I could see how it happened, though. I could see clearly that. I mean, this is what people maybe sometimes don't see about leadership. Is that's it's often like this. It's just simply by example. It's not that you're. It's not a hierarchical thing. It's not that you're asking people to follow you or something. It's simply that people are gravitating towards you because you're able to. They think you're able to show them a way, and you know, by demonstrating that kind of courage of conviction, by stepping down and saying, yeah, I don't really just talk about these kinds of things. Here's me living it in a way that is contrary to sort of popular current.
Yeah.
I could see why people would then gravitate towards you and say, I think you might have something to share with me, you know? I mean, have you considered that role more formally, coaching and mentoring?
Not yet. No, I would like to be able to do that at some point, but I think that there is still a lot more I want to practice. There's still a lot more I want to learn for myself. It's not been easy to leave my job, to be unemployed, to find a first job that in the end didn't match with me. Now, for me, it's important to have a bit of a kind of stability in life. So I think now I'm getting there. So maybe I can, you know, go back to a better, healthier rhythm in terms of staying in the present and not worrying too much. But I know that I've been struggling a bit in those times. So I know I still have, I feel that there is a lot I want to improve in my practice. So I will focus on that first. You know, yeah. I put my my oxygen mask first now before I put the oxygen mask on someone else. Yeah. So I feel like I've been through a bit of rough time, and I've been into mindfulness for really years, like 6, 7, 8 years, and there are still struggles. You know, there are still things that are tough. So it's just a constant effort, constant awareness, and that's what change highlighted me. Say, okay, dude, you knew it, but you're not there yet. So how do we get there? So I'm still figuring that out.
That's what people don't always understand when they say things like, "Oh, Bertrand, you seem so happy in your job," and then they use that word, "You're lucky," and it's like there's nothing. It's not about luck. I mean, all of this stuff takes a lot of effort. Change and development is always uncomfortable, you know, and sometimes it's like you could maybe see, like I know this guy who works in construction. And he says he sleeps like a baby every night because he's just found he likes just interacting with people while he works. He likes working with his hands. He never ever wanted to get promoted or work, start his own business or anything. He closes the door of the van at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and he knows that things will be exactly as he left them on the Monday morning. And he said to me, he said, I'm the happiest guy in the world, because he just found that thing that makes him content. And it seems to be that that's almost the greatest wisdom, isn't it? To find how to be content.
Yeah, that's so nice. it's nice to hear. And usually you would look at a CEO of a company and expect like, oh, that's the happiness that this person feels. But we all struggle with something. There is just I say no exceptions. I say that there is almost no exceptions to that, and that's what I've learned in retreats where we create a safe environment and we start sharing about our struggles. Then you see some people and you're like, well, man, you guys, you have it all figured out, so I'm going to be here sharing my issues and you guys are going to listen and say like, oh, I'm happy I don't feel that. And then you have a round and then everybody has something on their mind, something they struggle, even the happiest people, the positive energy that they shine, and you're like, wow, it's an interesting experience to have, to be aware of that reality of everybody.
So just this might put you on the spot a little bit, but just to kind of to sort of bring this into a way of looking forward. If you are, I mean, thinking about all these people that are just now starting in their first jobs in, like, could be, education, marketing and recruitment, and they're getting into social media or whatever, and they're looking, and they would look to someone like you as having occupied certain positions that, okay, wow, I'd like to go that direction or this direction. To those people who are just starting out now, could be more generally, but I mean in sort of education, marketing, recruitment, or really going in any direction, I guess. What kind of advice would you give to them? And I know advice is a dangerous thing if not everybody's ready to listen or ready to understand it. But nonetheless, what would you say to them?
I would say that let me say why I would say something is that, like, when I grew within the company where I felt great, I had all those opportunities to grow in the hierarchical way, so going to managerial positions. I never, at the very beginning, I've never set for that direction. I never set to be a commercial director. It just happened. But because at every step of the process, I was enjoying what I was doing. So, and not always. I didn't always enjoy it because sometimes I was challenged. I had to learn. I had to hit a wall here and there. But because I was really focused on what I was doing at that moment, and I was not projecting myself and getting frustrated of, oh, I'm not there yet. I think that brought the opportunities to me. So I would say stay on the task at hand, and things will happen. Things will be all right. There is a karma in everything. Maybe you can call it karma. You can call it like a justice, but there is that way that what's supposed to happen to you is going to happen. And keep trusting that. Focus on the present. Don't worry too much about what's ahead, and listen to your body there. If that's not the right thing, then that's not the right thing. Afterwards, it's not going to make it better. Don't keep on doing what you've been doing. Really try the task at hand. Reflect on it. Am I enjoying what I'm doing? No? Then let's not wait until I grow to a senior account manager, for example. Don't wait until the senior thing. That's just going to be the same. Just try something else instead.
Good advice. Good advice. Yeah. I wish I'd heard that when I was 20. Well, Bertrand, thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And I think that, it'll be interesting for, a lot of people who've worked with you directly or indirectly to hear what you've got to say, about something outside the typical discussions around marketing, recruitment, and higher education, and more about, who we are as people and what we are bringing of ourselves into these roles and how it connects. Is a discussion that needs to happen more.
I'm very curious to see how how people feel about our conversation. For me, it really felt great. Really appreciated the approach you had. None of the questions, I mean, we agreed that you wouldn't share any questions beforehand. We say we go pure improvisation. We go with the flow. I like that very much. So that was a very enjoyable conversation. Now it's hard to realize that people are going to look at it or are going to watch it, just because it was a very personal talk. So thanks a lot, Mark. Really appreciated it. And I hope to whoever watched it that feels a bit recognizable and that you feel a bit like, okay, well, I'm not the only one who feels that way, you know, because we are all having some doubts here, some struggles.
I am sure people will actually. I mean, I certainly resonate with a lot of what you've said as well, and it's really nice in a way just to sort of say this is just reveal a bit about how you feel about things and put it out there and trust that, you know, that it will connect, and I'm sure it will. So thank you so much for being the one to share it all.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Bertrands.
Bye bye.